Hello and welcome to Press Start, Hofstra's only video game forum for analysis and review. I'm your host, Colin Gillerman. A look ahead at today's show. We'll be filling you in on the latest news from the video game industry, and we'll weigh in on Bulletstorm for the Xbox 360 and Epic Mickey for the Nintendo Wii, and give you our analysis of whether they're just diamonds in the rough or a stinking waste of your time. And finally, we'll unearth a classic retro game that's sure to get your nostalgia pumping. All this and more coming up next on Press Start. It's game time here on Press Start, a look at what is soon to be at the fingertips of gamers across the world. Portal 2, developed by the Valve Corporation, is set to be released on April 19, 2011. It is a long-awaited sequel to the widely popular Portal, which was released in October of 2007 for the Xbox 360 in a bundle called the Orange Box. The gameplay is set to remain with roughly the same mechanics, but several new objects and puzzle elements are slated to be added to make the puzzles more complex and mind-bending. Duke Nukem Forever, tentatively set to come out on May 3rd, is a game that has become legendary in the video game industry. 2011 is officially its 14th year spent in development, and many speculated that it would never happen at all. Many skeptics argue that the ship has sailed on Nukem's importance in the sphere of gaming, but 14 years in development might translate to something we've never seen before. We're all willing to give them the benefit of the doubt, but they had better come up with something mind-blowing for making salivating fans wait for a decade and a half. LEGO Pirates of the Caribbean, developed by Traveller's Tales, is set to come out in May 2011 and will span all 4 of the Pirates of the Caribbean films, from Curse of the Black Pearl to On Stranger Tides, which is set to hit theaters in May. It will include over 70 characters from the series and will be available on 7 different platforms. L.A. Noire, slated to be released on May 17th, is in development by Team Bondi and Rockstar Games, the minds behind the Grand Theft Auto franchise. Its name implies that L.A. Noire will be an open-world game that follows the story of a detective in 1947 Los Angeles. L.A. Noire will draw upon many of its design elements from the classic film noirs of the 1940s and 50s, including an elaborate jazz soundtrack and the running themes of sex, corruption, and vice. Also available for purchase are a number of supplementary content packages that include new cases to solve, as well as new clothes and power-ups. SOCOM 4 U.S. Navy SEALs, developed by Zipper Interactive, will come out on April 19th of 2011 exclusively for the PlayStation 3. SOCOM 4 will feature an online multiplayer for up to 32 characters at once, all while keeping the same command and execute style of warfare that has made SOCOM one of the more complex and realistic war simulators on the market. Mario Kart 3DS, set to be released sometime in 2011, is said to be one of the most anticipated games from the Nintendo 3DS. Incorporating three-dimensional technology to enhance the racing experience, Mario Kart is back with yet another installment of the hugely popular racing franchise that began on the Super Nintendo in 1992. The series has been updated with a new 3D graphics system that is described as giving the game a more realistic feel, and its appearance on a portable system will let you race wherever you go, but please, not while driving. Brink, developed by Splash Damage for the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3, is a first-person shooter set to be released on May 17th in 2011. Set in a dystopian future where the entire Earth has been flooded, the remaining survivors go to war against Security, a faction that controls the city's resources with an iron fist. Civil war is in the air and unrest is at its peak. The game movement style is similar to the parkour style of Mirror's Edge and Assassin's Creed, but with several engine updates that make getting around like nothing before. Infamous 2 is a game being developed by Sucker Punch Productions for the PlayStation 3. Set to hit the shelves on June 7th in 2011, Infamous 2 follows the tale of a Cole McGrath, a young man with superhuman controls over electricity. One of the more drool-inspiring elements of the game is the inclusion of Create a Mission mode, which lets players use any of the in-game sprites, weapons, and locations to make their own missions using stealth, shoot-'em-up, racing, or platforming styles. The best user-created missions get upvoted by the players and are kept track of by an online system that will then implant the missions into the game of anyone playing. Nice. The world of video game design is not a task that anyone is cut out for. Developers slave away at computers day and night to bring you the best gaming experience they can. Let's take a sneak peek inside the video gaming industry with the words straight from some of its most prominent developers.
Developers. With new engines like Unreal 3 and CryEngine 3, the industry is moving in a new direction. Development is no longer about building a character and making it move, but rather making that character seem alive. It's now about details, subtlety, and realistic fluid movement. Bethesda Softworks and Splash Damage are working on this new FPS called Brink. It's using this new tool called SMART, or Smooth Movement Across Random Terrain. Basically, what this is doing is it's taking the FPS parkour movement and making it very, very fluid. Brink is taking this concept of parkour and bringing it to a new level. We can see the introduction of parkour in first-person shooters with games like Mirror's Edge. Parkour in Mirror's Edge was a lot more complicated. You had a button to jump, you had a button to roll, you had a button to slide. Brink basically takes that entire idea, molds it into one button, and it's direction that controls whether or not you're jumping or sliding. When you're holding down the Smart Run button, when you look up, you're going to go over obstacles. When you hold it down to look down, you'll go under obstacles. Basically, the idea is to allow a player to move from point A to point B in whatever fashion they see fit as quickly as possible. I think SMART will blur the line between third-person and first-person shooters. In third-person shooters, you see your character and how they interact with the environment, and in first-person shooters, this is rarely the case. SMART is leading first-person shooters towards that sort of environmental interaction. The important thing here is where it's going. I really think parkour is something in FPSs that is catching on in a large way, and I think this is something that's going to allow it to be used in almost any game. New tools are allowing developers to directly imitate reality, rather than just represent it, as they've done in the past. I think this is definitely something we can expect to see catch on.
Next on Press Start is a segment for gamers by gamers called People Who Play, a look at the gaming community as a whole and what video games mean to all of us.
I've been playing Super Smash Bros. Brawl competitively for like 3 years. It's really affected me and it's really important to me. I mean, I found video games, started playing them probably around Sega Genesis, just at the end, I guess, the Super Nintendo era. Ever since then, I've just been playing them and playing them. My favorite game? That is so difficult. Probably the Fire Emblem series really influenced me a lot. I mean, when I judge a game, it's not just off of the gameplay or how much, how fun the plot is or anything. I tie everything in. I enjoy video game music, I enjoy the artwork. Everything about it is enticing, and any hardcore gamer can tell you that.
We're about to take a quick break, but don't touch that controller. We've still got 3 more games to cover and more gamers doing what they love best, so you don't want to be going anywhere.
Hurt finger. Band-Aid plastic bandage and collar. Hurt elbow. Band-Aid bandage. It's flu. Hurt ankle. Band-Aid bandage. It's yellow. Hurt knee. Band-Aid bandage. It's red. Band-Aid stars and strips. Ooh. Band-Aid strips and spots. Charmers. New. In colors. Get some.
Hey, Susie. Susie Q, what's cooking with you?
Your teeth look whiter than new.
My teeth aren't new, but my toothpaste is new Pepsodent. Get with it, kids. New package, new flavor, new formula, too. Means brighter smiles for me and you.
You'll wonder where the yellow went when you brush your teeth with Pepsodent. The new formula with IMP gets teeth much whiter. You can see it cleans the stains and film away, while Irium fights tooth decay. You'll wonder where the yellow went when you brush your teeth with Pepsodent. The taste is new, so fresh and clean. That new taste really lasts, it's keen. And while it makes your smile a rave, it also makes your breath behave. So start going steady right away with Pepsodent. Get some today. You'll wonder where the yellow went when you brush your teeth with Pepsodent. Pepsodent, Pepsodent.
Welcome back to Press Start, Hofstra's only television show made for gamers, by gamers. I'm your host, Colin Gillerman. If you're just joining us, we already looked at what's coming soon in the gaming world and got a chance to see how passionate gamers are about their craft. But you're just in time for our reviews. Bulletstorm. Released on February 22nd by Epic Games and developed by People Can Fly for all 3 next-gen consoles, follows the story of Grayson Hunt, a Black Ops Army operative and his compadre who just found out that they've been fighting for the wrong side when they revolt and get sent to the outer reaches of the galaxy. It's up to you to kick, shoot, and mop the floor with everything you see until you get your revenge. Bulletstorm is said to be a bold and revolutionary first-person shooter that is touted as being the Duke Nukem Forever killer, set to strike before Nukem even hits the shelves later this May. Let's check out Bulletstorm and see if all the hype is true.
Bulletstorm is a first-person shooter from Epic Games. It's got some crazy, colorful, yet really tacky dialogue.
I ain't trying no more.
No, you're drunk. Again.
Savage locals running interference, Doc. Killing as fast as we can.
The studio actually took the game and censored down like the dialogue and the violence already. So when you play it, you'll see just how extreme it is and how bad it just had to be.
You told us the targets were gun runners, slave traders, mass murderers.
Yeah, I lied. So what?
Who did we just kill?
Also, the game features upgradable weapons, and you can get this whip where you latch onto enemies and pull them in for a slow motion kill or kick or shoot or whatever you want. And the story itself is one of your run-of-the-mill rogue soldier of fortune hell-bent on revenge stories. Nothing groundbreaking.
He's mega-charged with elite Confederate weaponry. Looks mega-charged with a dozen buckets of fried chicken.
But this is an over-the-top outer space shoot-'em-up with more adrenaline than a hospital supply closet. And it doesn't need your stupid storyline. Yeah, I can turn people to blood whenever I feel like it, and I don't need a complicated story arc. Just give me another ammo clip. Yeah, that's satisfying. Nothing like kicking a space monster into a giant cactus. The area where the game really excels is in the replay value. There are literally boatloads of unlockable kill shots and weapon upgrades to change things up. And some of these are really creative, but damn near impossible to get. Outside of that though, the game is relatively short, and it wouldn't be hard to beat in one sitting, and the gameplay rarely diverts from run, shoot, run, kick, shoot. Although there are some bits where you fly a spaceship and fire the cannons, but don't get too cocky. One of the cooler parts of the game comes when you get to remote control a giant cyborg dinosaur that shoots lasers out of its eyes. This is pretty jawsome. One of the stranger choices that they made with the game is that it constantly prompts you to get to cover, but there's no way to hug the walls or actually get behind the cover. The enemies do it all the time, so why can't you? They just kind of left the player out to dry while enemies fire at will. Overall, the game is flashy and stylish to the max, with lots of unlockables to earn. But if you're looking for a smart story and, I don't know, convincing dialogue, then you're out of luck with this one. But overall, we give it 4 ups out of 5.
The video game industry would not exist without you, the gamer. Now let's hit the streets and see if we can find some people who play.
My name's Mark. So I play video games pretty casually. I probably played my first video game around age 4, so about 16 years. I always was at a friend's house with a SNES or an NES, but my first system was a Sega Genesis. I'm a big Grand Theft Auto fan. It doesn't require a lot. I'm going to have to say that, you know, regardless of the technology that we have now, the Super Nintendo still really holds up. It's got a great selection of games that people still play. And you don't see people booting up Windows 95 to nostalgically use their computer, but people still have their Super Nintendos out and they still play, you know, Mega Man or all of that. So I'd say it's a pretty timeless console.
Video game consoles may have brought the technology of gaming to people's living rooms, but before that, it was all about the arcades. Eager young gamers would line up at the door just to take a crack at the newest high score. Rivalries were formed, dynasties rose and fell, and legends were made. I just had to head down to the local quarters bar to get me a piece of that top score action.
7 a.m. It's raining outside. Going to play some video games.
So it looks like MK over here thinks he's good at Time Crisis 3. Well, I'm about to give him a reality check. Coins! Where the guy is. Where are you from?
Machine gun. Grenade.
Boom! Bottom.
Machine gun. Shotgun. Action. Continue.
Eat my leg, mother.
Action. Machine gun.
Yeah. Coming up on done! Oh! MK. Top 5 scores. I mean, like, how much time do you have to dedicate to get the top 5 scores on an arcade game? I committed so much time to that game for nothing. I mean, I beat it in the end, which I guess counts in my world, but, you know, he made an enemy today. I'm gonna find him, track him down, and I'm gonna challenge him to a game of Time Crisis. In November, Junction Point Studios in Austin, Texas released Epic Mickey for the Nintendo Wii, a window into the more devious and mischievous side of Disney's beloved flagship rodent, Mickey Mouse. It follows the adventures of Mickey Mouse as he tries to undo the destruction he inadvertently causes. Wielding a magic paintbrush and a supply of paint and paint thinner, he seeks to bring peace back to a world that has been cast into darkness. Let's take a look and see if the Disney hero still has fight left in him after all these years.
This is Epic Mickey. It is a game created by Disney and is an allusion to one of Disney's oldest animated films, Fantasia. It's also pretty similar to Kingdom Hearts, but Disney will never admit to that. The intro to this game features Mickey and a wise wizard in some great computer animation a la Disney Pixar.
My latest creation. A world for things that have been forgotten.
The game starts after Mickey, against the advice of the wizard, drops paint all over the wizard's masterpiece and is sucked in. You start off with action pretty much right away, facing a huge machine thing and meeting your, for a lack of a better term, travel guide. The game uses very bold colors, which is very unlike Disney's normal bright and vivid imagery, usually targeted toward children. So you can tell that by the dark colors, it's pretty much for older gamers. Starting off the game, it doesn't seem to be the role-playing game or RPG it so claims to be. It is not until you learn that by hitting enemies with either paint or thinner, they can become friends or they are vanquished. These actions affect the guardians that help you through the game. You go through the game and create landscapes and objects to help you solve puzzles and get rewards. The game also has some trouble with camera work and isn't in the right spot all the time, which is a minor inconvenience but pretty annoying. I would have to say that my favorite part of this game is sadly not the gaming portion, but the amazing artistic value to the cartooning throughout. Disney combines very classic, like 1920s classic, style cartooning with almost a French Nouveau style. It is that, along with the different take to normal Disney games, that we give Epic Mickey a 3.5 out of 5 ups.
When you think of video gaming, you may only think of pasty people in dark rooms, but there's actually a thriving online community where people meet and interact every day.
You can only play through a game so much until you get bored with it. Online games, it's really hard to get bored with an online game because there's always somebody else out there that's better than you, and it can make a game last forever. I always think it's entertaining that I could be playing and, well, killing people from Japan or China or Russia. I've gotten a lot of people from, actually. Interacting with people that you wouldn't, for really any reason, interact with. Just having fun with them, you know? It's kind of funny that it's basically equated to killing each other. But nowadays, I guess that is the norm of fun.
Yeah, I play a lot of video games. I've been playing video games since 5th grade, I guess that's around 10. But I remember older games were a lot more fun and cartoony, and maybe it's just because I got older, the games have become much more violent, maybe. Yeah, I do it just for fun and to procrastinate sometimes, and when I don't have anything better to do, if I'm not out, I just pop a game in and play it.
Before fancy graphics and realistic blood spray were all it took to capture the hearts and minds of the modern gamer, people were only concerned with one thing: gameplay. By altering the norms of side-scrolling platformers, Prince of Persia, developed by Broderbund in 1989, captivated gamers with its innovative reimagining of video game basics. You follow the story of a nameless hero locked in the palace dungeon and destined to fight, jump, and dodge your way out of custody and into the waiting arms of your lover, the princess. All along the way, fighting enemies and avoiding countless booby traps. Back in the heyday when the Nintendo Entertainment System was the ultimate console, Prince of Persia was revolutionizing how you could play video games.
So this is it. This is Prince of Persia. Not much to look at, but for its time, the gameplay was a revolution in video gaming. It originally came out on the Apple II computer in 1989, but it was quickly ported to the Nintendo Entertainment System, the Atari ST, Sega Master System, Super Nintendo, Sega CD, the Sega Genesis, and 2 modern ports for the Xbox 360 and the iPhone. We're playing this one on a hacked Nintendo Wii. Pretty fancy, huh? It's a pretty difficult game, but not because of all the enemies or anything like that. In fact, most of the difficulty comes from tricky timing on jumps. The controls are clunky by today's standards, but you get used to them eventually. The game successfully blends puzzles and platforming to make a truly challenging experience. And there's spikes too. Spikes everywhere. Mostly it's just trial and error until you find your way to the next level. I mean, it's simple, but the simplicity is what makes it so complicated. Retro games are great at doing that kind of thing. There are no instructions either, which is kind of a relief. Normally, when you start a modern game, you get badgered by all these people telling you that X does this, Y does this. You can't play yet because we're not done instructing you how to play this game. So it's a breath of fresh air in that regard. When you first get the sword, you have no idea what to do with it, and it doesn't even come out until you find an enemy, which is scarce at most. For a dungeon, there sure aren't a whole lot of guards or supervision around. And I guess that's what all the spikes are for. The game is frustrating in its redundancy, but it's only redundant because you have to keep playing through the levels when you die. The landscape doesn't change much either, but it's a dungeon. I mean, do you think they would bother getting an interior designer to pick different swatches to make the dungeon more interesting? Anyway, it's a classically difficult game that deserves a try, despite its dated aesthetic. We give it 3 ups out of 5.
Well, that's all the time we have for Press Start. We kicked some tail in Distant Galaxies and Bulletstorm for the Xbox 360, brushed up on our Disney history with the Wii's Epic Mickey, and traveled back in time to a period of pure fun gaming with the Prince of Persia for the Nintendo Entertainment System. Join us next time to see more coverage on what's coming up in the future and what's worth revisiting in the past, as well as more from people who play. All this and more next time on Press Start, Hofstra University's only television show made for gamers by gamers. See you next time.